Alright, so this morning I'm actually going to make eclairs. It's my wife's birthday and we made a cake last weekend, and so the decision was, do we make eclairs or cake? My 6-year-old rolled a dice. Odds were eclairs, even were cake. He rolled a 5, so eclairs it is. The first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to make crème pâtisserie or pastry cream, and I really like this Jacques Pépin recipe that I printed off the internet some time ago. It's the classic crème pâtisserie with egg yolks. I also happen to have 8 old egg yolks in the refrigerator from earlier in the week when my wife made challah, which uses a lot of eggs. And so I'm going to use those. I'm going to add 1 egg, so I have 9. I'm going to make a triple recipe of crème pâtisserie. All right, we're ready to get started for the next step. So what we have here is our bowl with 9 egg yolks in it, 9 tablespoons of flour instead of 3, because it's a triple recipe, and I actually just put just shy of 2 cups of sugar in this bowl. And so the first thing you're going to do, of course, a little vanilla. We're going to whisk together the sugar, vanilla, and a carefully measured amount of vanilla, and the sugar are going in there, and we're doing this the old-fashioned way. This egg yolk will mix in with the sugar, and it's a little stiff at first, but of course, as the sugar starts to dissolve, it becomes thinner and thinner, more liquid. And the instructions tell you to do this until it gets to the point of white ribbons, or milky pale white ribbons, pale yellow ribbons. And it takes it says 3 to 4 minutes. I'm going to do this and wow. All right, there we go. 9 eggs is a little bit of a workout. So we're ready for our flour. We're in these. It's this pale yellow. It makes ribbons. So let's go ahead and add in our flour. Mix that in. All right, at this point, we're ready to get the milk hot. All right, so the milk is busily getting hot. You don't want it to boil and boil over, of course, and here I've got my mixture of the egg yolk, flour and sugar, a little bit of vanilla, all whipped, ready to go. And the idea is we're going to get the milk to the point on the edge of boiling, and we're going to start ladling it into the egg mixture, and then slowly temper the eggs so we don't cook them, and then mix it in, and then ultimately transfer it back to the pot to where we're going to get it to the point where it's exactly the right thickness. And getting it exactly the right thickness is the big trick with making crème pâtisserie just right. Alright, our milk is just about right at the right temperature. I see the bubbles forming on the outside of the pan. It's hot. I've got a towel under my bowl here to keep it from moving around because I need one hand to pour and one hand to whisk, and it's a little clunky at first. You know, maybe this isn't a professional chef way of doing it, but I find this works. And of course, once the milk starts getting mixed into the bowl, it starts loosening up. So I start with just a few ladles at a time. I usually get my stove kind of messy doing this because I tend to shake my ladle here a little bit too much. I bought this ladle before Katrina, back when Oneida used to have a factory outlet store in the French Quarter, and never been able to find a ladle I like quite as much, just a little small sauce ladle. It's so useful. You see this mixture is already starting to loosen up. Alright, I've gotten this kind of where it stay put. Now I'm going to slowly drizzle this milk in. Take it off the heat. You see it's hot. Just a little bit at a time. Of course, it helps to have a saucepan that pours well. I like this old Rivera pan that used to be my parents'. It's a good pan, even though it's very 1970s, maybe even 60s. It pours very well without too much dribbling. Alright, we're going to pour all that milk in, get this hot mixture going. Right now, alright, we're ready to cook that stuff. So I've got that on the stove again. I'll pour this right back into the pan. I've got, it's a dry towel here ready to grab the edge of that hot bowl. Pour that right in. And now the part that can be a little tricky is getting this creme patisserie just to the right consistency. I need another bowl. I'm really a big fan of open shelves in the kitchen. I like having them ready to go. That bowl will hold my creme patisserie when it's ready to be poured out. You want to stir this. The instructions say about a minute till it starts boiling. I find that there's a certain amount of deviation in that, especially since this is a larger volume. I'm going to get a scraper out of my drawer, so I'm ready to get the last little bit of creme patisserie goodness out of the pan. Keep stirring. What we're doing here is basically making an egg custard. I mean, this is not anything newfangled in the least. This is a very old-fashioned pastry technique of eggs. Eggs are incredible. They're versatile. You can do all kinds of things with them. And of course, we've created an egg emulsion here. And it's going to be absolutely delicious when it's done, if I don't mess it up. Another option here, instead of eclairs, is of course you can make pastry cream tarts. And I am all of a sudden kind of thinking I might have a nice big container of raspberries in the refrigerator. We'll see. Okay, I can feel this starting to come together all of a sudden. That's what happens with this. It all of a sudden starts to get thicker. And then it's really a judgment call of experience in making this, whether you're going to make it too thin or too thick. I'll tell you what, a tip, if you make it too thick, you're not serving children, take your thick pastry cream and thin it down with a little bit of Irish whiskey. You won't be sorry. Alright, we're starting to boil here. Really starting to thicken in a hurry. Great deal more resistance on the whisk. You can smell that eggy goodness. Custard. Alright, it's really starting to thicken in a big hurry now. I'm pulling this off the heat. Just letting this finish with the residual heat from the stove and the pan. Turn off the heat. Oh yeah, we're ready to go. Alright, pour this in. You can see the parts that are still in the pan are thick. Get those on out. The whisk. Cover, get my scraper, get that last little bit. There we go. Creme patisserie. Hopefully it's thick enough. I think it will be. It's quite hot right now. So creme patisserie, you got to make ahead. This is to cool. You want to put cling film on it, so it's just right over the surface of it, and put it after it cools down to room temperature in about an hour. Put it in the fridge to cool longer. Remember, there's a ton of sugar in this, so things with lots and lots of sugar in them take a long time to cool off.